people. When someone you love has been dragged inside those walls, there can be a distance between you both that feels relentless. You miss them, but they're right there beside you, except that they're kind of not. Not in the way you both want to be anyway. The symptoms of depression exist on a spectrum. All of them are normal human experiences, but in depression they're intensified. Not everyone who has depression will have a formal diagnosis, so knowing what to watch out for can help to make sense of the changes you might notice. Depression looks like a withdrawal. It feels that way too. It's a withdrawal from everything that is enriching and life-giving. Depression sucks the life out of life. That's how it feels. When depression bites, everything becomes hard. Life starts to hurt. Those who are bitten stop looking forward to things. They stop engaging, and they stop enjoying things, even the things they used to love. They can feel hard to reach, and sometimes they can be angry or appear as though they don't care. That isn't because they want to withdraw from you or push you away. They don't, although it can feel that way. Here are some ways to fight for them, beside them, and for the times the fight has to be theirs, behind them. Depression is never a choice. If people with depression could be happy, they would be. Depression leaves people feeling as though they've been scooped out with a spoon. It's a hijacking of everything that feels good. The hopelessness, emptiness, and loneliness is relentless. If they knew how to be any other way, they would be. It's okay to feel frustrated or angry. The helplessness of loving someone with depression can be frustrating, exhausting, and lonely. It's okay to feel angry at times, or as though you want to throw your hands in the air and walk away. You're human, and when you love someone with depression, there will be times that you'll be in the arena too, fighting the battle. Remember that you're fighting a common enemy, and it's depression, not the person beside you. Try to see through the symptoms to the person you know, because they're in there. Depression is a withdrawal, but not from you. When you love someone with depression, it can feel as though you've lost them for a while. The person you've always known and loved is still there, but they've withdrawn into themselves, away from the pain and hopelessness of it all, not away from you. It just feels like the safest place to be, but it doesn't mean that they wouldn't have you right there with them if they knew how to do that. You're grieving too. Depression steals people. If the depression has been around for long enough, you might feel a sense of grief. If you need to get angry, sad, or fall to your knees some days, that's okay. You're fighting a battle too. It's okay to pull back to recharge now and then. Be kind to yourself and do something that replenishes you. Reach out to someone, but don't lean on the person with depression. People with depression already see themselves as a burden, and anything that inflames that might cause them to withdraw even more. When nothing is as powerful as something, people with depression won't always have the words and will feel the burden of being with you when they don't know what to say or do. Let them know that you love that version of them too, the one that has nothing to say, or plenty to say, but no will to say it. Let them know that you're there for them, even if they don't want to talk. Silence with someone can be lovely when you're depleted. You don't have to be anyone different to who you are. You don't need to change or pretend or put on a happy face. I love you, and I'm here for you. People with depression are strong. People with depression are some of the strongest people I've met. They have to be. The pain and hopelessness of depression is immense, and to keep existing day after day under the weight of that takes an almighty fight, fueled by almighty strength and courage. What they're doing makes sense. We all have needs we can't give up. They're the big ones, and they're an inescapable part of being human: love, validation, respect, visibility, safety, influence, connection, appreciation, purpose. You know the ones. When one of these needs isn't met, the temptation can be to push it down, to depress it, to wear it out of awareness, and can't cause trouble. But of course, any symptom, whether physical or emotional, will always cause trouble when it's ignored. It takes the strength of a warrior to keep pushing things down and getting on with life. Eventually, when people have been strong for too long, the armor will crack. Depression hurts, but it makes sense. It's a creative, Adaptive withdrawal from a world that feels painful to be in. Being positive probably won't work. Reframing things positively is generally done with loving intent, but most likely it just won't work. The messages that are sent with love will likely be received as nobody understands. For someone who is being caned by depression, there is no positive. Research has found that people who are already unhappy don't want to be talked into the glossy view of life, they just want understanding. The view of reality is shaped by a lifetime of experience, and sometimes the way people see the world is exactly the way the world is for them. Trying to push against this can work against what you're trying to do and intensify the loneliness and desperation of it all. Reframing things in a positive way is important, but it can't be forced. So if positive is out, what then? You don't have to fix anything or change anything. If there was a way to do that, they would have done it themselves by now. Instead, acknowledge their pain. I know this is really hard for you, and validate what they're going through. I know you're hurting. That's understandable given what you're going through, or I know you're fighting a tough battle right now. Be the one who can be with them without having to change them. This will probably explode your own feelings of helplessness, but reworking things towards a positive angle will ease your helplessness, not theirs. That helplessness you're feeling is the bit you're doing together. So is the pain and the confusion of that. That's what makes your love unconditional and your support something extraordinary. Try not to let the negative talk go on and on and on and on, and it's really important to hear people from where they are, but if the discussion of a negative thought goes on and on and on and starts to feel circular, it's not good for anyone. It's called rumination, and it can make it harder to move through depression. Talk about it with them for sure, but try to persuade the conversation in a different direction after a while if you can. If you're struggling for words, let those be the words. There's no need to gloss it up. The truth is that it's hard to know what to say because there's nothing that can take away the pain. Don't worry about saying the right thing, there is no right thing. Instead, say the real thing with love and an open heart. Share what you're feeling, because chances are that they're feeling it too. Common ground will shrink the distance between you. You might not be depressed, but chances are you'll be feeling a lot of the things they're feeling: sadness, confusion, frustration, helplessness, and the greatest wish that you knew how to make it better. I wish that you weren't in so much pain, and I wish I knew how to soften things for you, but I don't know how to do that. What I will do is be here for you for as long as it takes. Ask them what you do that doesn't help. And listen. Depression can be different for everyone. You can't be expected to know how to respond. Ask what they need from you and whether there's something they need you to do differently. Be open to the response and don't take it personally. Don't ask them what they're depressed about. When people are sad, they generally have an idea of why. Depression doesn't always work like that. Sometimes people will be aware of what has triggered their depression, but sometimes it won't be obvious. On paper, people with depression can look as though they have everything to be happy about, they can even believe that themselves, but depression doesn't play by any rules. Try to initiate the things they used to love that depression has stolen. At a time when people need connection the most, depression forces distance. Do everything you can not to let it. Connection and positive feelings strengthen the brain against depression, and exercise can cause the same changes in the brain as antidepressants. The problem is that the very nature of depression will hold people back from doing any of these. Don't wait for them to feel like doing things. They won't. Their depression won't let them. Depression is there to nurture withdrawal, remember. It does this by stealing motivation and creating exhaustion. Be tender, gentle and loving, and reintroduce them to life, connection, and positive feelings. You're likely to get resistance, and a lot of it. Know that this isn't personal, and do what you can do anyway. Another reason to initiate. Thoughts, feelings and behaviors are intimately connected. They tend to follow each other, so someone with depression will think depressed thoughts nothing makes a difference, I'm useless as feel depressed feelings pain. hopelessness, exhaustion, and this will drive depressed behavior, withdrawal, and a depressed mood. A change in one will eventually lead to the other, but the change is unlikely come from the person with depression. Out of the three, thoughts and feelings are the toughest to change. They're tenacious. This is why things like, get over it, or it's not that bad, or just try to be a bit positive, hey, won't work. The best way is through their behavior, but you'll have to be stronger than their depression. Initiate walks, dinners, holidays, anything that has the potential to create positive feelings. Take their hand and lead them there gently. They are not broken. There is nothing abnormal about the symptoms of depression. They're a very normal part of human experience, but with an intensity that's relentless. We've all felt sad, disconnected, the need to withdraw, hopeless, helpless, exhausted, and as though the fun has faded for a while. These are all common experiences, even if only fleetingly at times, and from the kinder end of the spectrum. What makes these very human experiences lead to a diagnosis of depression is a question of degree. People with depression experience the same we all experience, but at a different intensity, duration, or cluster of symptoms. Depression rarely takes hold of just one person. When depression settles into someone, helplessness, fear, and sadness bleed through the walls it builds around that person and into the lives of those who love them. It's exhausting for everyone. There is always a way through depression, but it takes an almighty fight. You won't always have it in you to fight alongside them, and you won't always know what to do, but that's okay. You don't have to do any of that to fight for them. Few things are as powerful as human connection, and anything you can do to nurture that